असादेवर गुरु ग्रंथ साहिब, श्लोक, फर्स्ट महल। सच काल कूढ़वर्ती, कल कालख बैताल, बियो बीज पट लई गाय, अब कियो उगवई दाल, जय इक होए, ता उगवाई रुतिहु रुत होए, नानक पाहि बाहरा कोरई रंग न सोए, भई विच खुंब चढ़ाई, सरम पाहु तन होए, नानक भगति जय रपई, कूढ़ई सोए न कोए। There is a famine of truth, falsehood prevails, and the blackness of the dark age of Kali Yuga has turned men into demons. Those who planted their seed have departed with honor. Now, how can the shattered seed sprout? If the seed is whole, and it is the proper season, then the seed will sprout. O Nanak, without treatment, the raw fabric cannot be dyed. In the fear of God, it is bleached white. If the treatment of modesty is applied to the cloth of the body. O Nanak, if one is imbued with devotional worship, his reputation is not false. Then, नानक मैर शरीर का एक रथ एक रथवाहु, जुग जुग फैर वताइया ज्ञानी बुझे ताही, सतजुग रथ संतोख का धर्म अगई रथवाहु, त्रेतय रख रथ जतई का जोर अगई रथवाहु, द्वापर रथ तपई का सत अगई रथवाहु, कलिजुग रथ अगन का कूढ़ अगई रथवाहु। O Nanak, the soul of the body has one chariot and one charioteer. In age after age they change. The spiritually wise understand this. In the golden age of SatYuga, contentment was the chariot and righteousness the charioteer. In the silver age of Treta Yuga, celibacy was the chariot and power the charioteer. In the brass age of Dwapar Yuga, penance was the chariot and truth the charioteer. In the iron age of Kali Yuga, fire is the chariot and falsehood the charioteer. Abhilash Raipalli from Chennai. Dear Acharya Ji Pranam, in these verses, Guru Sahib is describing the different yugas and is telling us that we are in the dark age, Kali Yuga, where men are driven by falsehood. We are asked to fear God and devotionally worship God. In Hinduism, it's considered that world goes through a cycle of yugas and Kali Yuga is the last yuga. How should one understand yugas of world? Is prevalence of falsehood specific to some time period in the world, Kali Yuga? What does the statement, those who planted their seed have departed with honor, indicate? What does seed mean here? Please help me in getting the right understanding. Time, Abhilash, is not outside of man. time and consciousness are one. There is the flow of time that is merely a physical fact. And that flow of time is anyway of no psychological or spiritual importance to man. Even before evolution brought us to the conscious state we call as man, there was time. But that time is merely a thing of the chronometer. It is merely a thing of the watch. It is merely chronological time. It has no bearing on man's inner condition, psychological upheaval, or spiritual fulfillment. Therefore, the time that saints repeatedly talk of is inside man, not outside of him. The inner time is what they talk of. And so I began answering by saying that time is inside of man. And therefore you will see that all these things that are being talked of with respect to time are all things of man. It is said in SatYuga, contentment was the chariot and righteousness the charioteer. To whom do these two words apply? Contentment and righteousness. They apply to man's mind, man's consciousness. Similarly, celibacy and power, penance and truth, fire and falsehood. Where do you find all of these? Do you find them as facts and materials in the world outside of man? Are these objective entities, or are these states of mind? States of mind. So that's where you would also find SatYuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga and Kali Yuga. They are not to be found in the calendar. They are to be found in man's mind. In man's mind is SatYuga, in man's mind is Dwapar, in man's mind is Treta, in man's mind is Kali Yuga. Nowhere else are they to be found. They are not historical phases. Do not try to say that SatYuga lasted from X years to Y years, or that Kali Yuga runs for a period of Z million years. But that's how we have often heard of it, have we not? We talk of SatYuga as some kind of history. So there was SatYuga, and then it was followed by Treta Yuga, and then it was followed by Dwapar, and now we are in the middle of Kali Yuga. And we also try to speculate when Kali Yuga is going to end. That's not how it is. If you are taking it that way, then you do not understand time. Before you talk of Yuga, you must talk of Man and Chetana. Where does time exist at all, where does it exist? It exists within you. And therefore within you are all of these that are related to time. Truth, austerities, falsehood. You would ask, then why do we say without exception that we are in Kali Yuga? Abhilash, when the saints say that this is Kali Yuga, to whom are they saying it? Who is being addressed? If Kabir Sahib says this is Kali Yuga, is he addressing Sheikh Farid? When Guru Sahib says this is Kali Yuga, is he addressing another Jnani? Who is being addressed? Who is always being addressed? The ignorant ego is being addressed. Who else needs these verses? Who else needs these instructions? Who needs these instructions? The ego. The ignorant ego that is living in deep darkness. To this entity are all the instructions addressed. And to this entity are all the advices and help given. And the ego is always in Kali Yuga. And therefore the saints say it's Kali Yuga. It is Kali Yuga for you today. Tomorrow it might be SatYuga. For you, not for your neighbor. For your neighbor it will continue to be Kali Yuga. Because these are all personal. They do not have any objective existence. SatYuga and Treta and Dwapar and Kali are not like January, February, March, April. Jan, Feb, March, April are also man-made. But they at least have an objective existence in the sense that if it is 16th of February for him, it will be even for her 16th of February only. It is not possible that for him it is 16th of February and for her it is 23rd of September. So some kind of objectivity is there in the calendar. But when we are talking of these 4 yugs, you may call them as epochs or ages, then there is no objective existence. The world might be in misery and in chaos. The world might be in middle of a great fire. But a devotee of the Lord is so very peaceful at the feet of the Lord. For the world it is Kali Yuga. For the devotee it continues to be SatYuga. That's the way it is. So, interestingly, if there are 100 people in a room, it is possible that all of them are living in different ages. 95 of them are living in Kali Yuga. 2 in Treta, 2 in Dwapar, and maybe 1 in SatYuga. And all of this is changeable moment to moment. The one who is in SatYuga may suddenly come under the influence of Maya and slip straight away to Kali Yuga. It's all a flux, a constantly changing thing. You getting it? But one thing is certain, do not make these classifications of time a thing of history, a thing of calendar. The saints have taken great pains to explain to us that mind and time are one. Kabir Sahib puts it so very nicely. Kaal kaal sab kahe, kaal na chhinhe koe, jeti man ki kalpana, kaal kahave soe. People talk so much about time, but no one really understands time. What is time? The flight of the mind, the movement of the mind, the imagination of the mind, that alone is time. Nothing else is time. So now tell me, how can time exist outside of you, or can it? It does not exist outside of you. You say different avatars were born in the different yugas. That is not that way. Invert the whole thing. When there is a Ram, is a particular yuga. When there is Krishna, then there is a particular yuga. And Ram and Krishna are both within you. The moment you wake up, yuga changes. For whom? For you. Let the Ram within you find expression. Yuga has changed. Let the Krishna within you find expression. Yuga has changed. And let all your rubbish find expression. The yuga is Kali Yuga. But people go on with fancy theories. Someone is saying, only 60 more years are left. I heard recently, for Kali Yuga to end. And then some other great age will start. And babies will start flying. There is an entire movement in India, that is built on this premise. They say because it is the dirty yuga, so the babies are being born in a dirty way. And when the yuga will change, then babies will drop straight from the heavens. In fact, over the last 50-60 years, they have come up with demolition dates 5 or 6 times. They say this bad age is to end soon. So they would say 1964, then 1980. It doesn't happen. So they, some technical error. Let's recalculate. I suppose the most recent date they gave was somewhere in this century, 2010 or something, 2012. It didn't happen again. Now I think they are betting on 2036 or something. I don't know. It doesn't happen that way, kid. SatYuga won't come. Somewhere in the future. Wake up and you are in SatYuga. These are, in some way, levels of your consciousness. The 4 levels of your consciousness. When you are in the lowest level of your consciousness, you are in Kali Yuga. When you are in the highest level, then you are in SatYuga. And have you seen, when this cyclical flow of time is described, which of these ages is the shortest? SatYuga. And which of these is the longest? That is because these 4 layers of mind are like a pyramid. Most people, most of the time, are in the lowest level. So Kali Yuga is the longest. It's an upward ascent. So not many people reach there. So at the top, there is not much population, which means not many people spend a lot of time at the top. So the SatYuga is the shortest. You too have lived in SatYuga, but only for a little time. And you too have lived in Kali Yuga for a very long time, unfortunately. In between, there are these 2, Treta and Dwapar. Getting it? The fundamentals have to be clear, otherwise one keeps messing up. One must know what the body is. One must know the great expanse of the mind. If one does not know the great expanse of the mind, then one keeps on talking of objective realities. One forgets that all objects are nothing but the mind. And this confusion comes only to those who are not well versed in the study of the mind. So they would talk of things, they would talk of time, they would talk of persons, they would talk of this and that, without realizing that all of these are just mind. They would even talk of a reality beyond the mind, and they won't realize that beyond the mind lies even more mind. If you can talk about it, it is just mind. But people talk of this and that as if this and that has substance in it. There is no substance. The mind is hollow, and so are all the things that you talk of. But we grace those things with needless halo when we forget that they are merely projections of the inner self. The moment you say something as an objective reality, you have turned it almost into truth. You are saying there is something that exists independent of me. Wait. There is only one that exists independent of you, and that is that. Time does not exist independent of you, sir. The world does not exist independent of you. Nothing exists outside of you. And when I say you, I do not mean the great self or Atma. I mean Ahankar. All is but a projection of the ego. So why talk so seriously about it? Why unnecessarily decorate it with honors? No, Abhilash, it is not considered that Kali Yuga is the last Yuga. The way the seer poets put it, Kali Yuga was to be followed by SatYuga. No Yuga is the last Yuga. Time continues till Shiva wants it to continue. And when he gets fed up of time, then there is the dance of destruction, in which time is destroyed. The only thing is that we have been told that after SatYuga there would necessarily be Treta. Even that is not a great necessity. Not only is there no linearity, there is also no particular order amongst these ages. From SatYuga, you can straight away drop dead to Kali Yuga. It is possible. And from Kali Yuga, you can have a gradual ascension. In the gradual ascension, you can first rise to Dwapar and then to Treta and then to SatYuga. Or it is possible that you bypass Dwapar and Treta and you straight away jump to SatYuga. So all kinds of movements are possible. What is certain is that the cycle does not end anywhere, because the mind does not want an end. When does the mind end? Only when it disappears into Shiv. When does the mind end? When it disappears into Shiv. And that is what is meant by Pralay and Tandav. Shiv destroys the world. What is the world? The world is mind. When you say Shiv destroys the world, you are just using a little aggressive language. When you say Shiv destroys the world, you are just using the language of the rebel. In the language of the devotee, you could have said, my world ends when I am with Shiva. When I am with Shiva, my personal world is no more. Only Shiva exists. Time is gone, things are gone, ideas are gone, all is gone, I am gone, only Shiva remains. That is Pralay. Pralay. Pralay is a beautiful word. Lay means linata. Pralay means advanced linata. Lay is a beautiful word, but Pralay as a word scares us. We say, Pralay. It's a nice word. You must name your kids as Prabhav and Pralay. Don't have two of them in the first place. Please. You'll quote my slip of tongue to do anything. Getting it? Do you see what the whole thing is about? The entire thing is just about the mind and the center of the mind. That center of the mind is sometimes called as truth, sometimes as Atma, sometimes as Shiv. Except these two, nothing exists. There is the mind and there is the truth. And between these two, mind is a mere figment, a mere fancy. So only one exists. Which one? Truth. So when there is a lot of talk of miscellaneous things, ask yourself, out of the two that really exist, to whom do these miscellaneous things belong? Whatever you are talking of would either belong to the truth or would belong to the mind. Therefore, you should not be confused. Therefore, things become very simple. Somebody talks of time, this yuga, that yuga. It is easy for me. When only the truth exists and only mind exists. All this story regarding time has to exist either in truth or in the mind. Now, truth has no value for time. Truth is Akal. What will it do with Kal? Therefore, all these ages must belong only to the mind. Game over. Game over. Getting it? Then you have asked, those who planted their seed have departed with honor. What does it mean? It means that those who worked really hard for their liberation got the fruit of liberation. The seed is the central tendency, the ego tendency itself. It is beautiful. The central I tendency, which is called the seed of suffering, is also the seed of liberation. Sow the seed, water the plant, look after it, and you will have the fruit of freedom. Otherwise, you can simply disrespect the seed, ignore it, mistreat it, and nothing will come out of it. You could say that the seed is birth itself. Those who made good use of the seed, that is birth, got the fruit of salvation. And those who did not make good use of the birth, this lifetime, just wasted life and were taken away by death. Now Ilmari is there from Finland. Acharyaji, I am not sure if I understood the chariot and charioteer narrative correctly. Is the chariot meant to represent the ideals of the above mentioned eras? And does the charioteer mean the actual driving forces? Why do they change age after age? Thank you so much for your guidance. What do the chariot and charioteer mean? In the golden age of SatYuga, contentment was the chariot and righteousness the charioteer. In the silver age of Treta Yuga, celibacy was the chariot and power the charioteer. In the brass age of Dwapar Yuga, penance was the chariot and truth the charioteer. In the iron age of Kali Yuga, fire is the chariot and falsehood the charioteer. Guru Sahib here, Ilmari, is referring to the center of the mind in these different epochs or eras. Who is the charioteer? Who drives you? Please. Who is the charioteer? Who drives you? The charioteer is the inner driving force or the inner center or the inner controller. The charioteer. The chariot, well, it is something more gross. You could liken it to the body. So the charioteer is the ego tendency and the chariot is the gross tendency. Now see what is happening. In SatYuga, righteousness is the center of the mind. And when righteousness is the center of the mind, how does the body, the Jeev, live? He lives in contentment. In Treta Yuga, power is the charioteer. Which power is being talked of? The power of the Lord. That was being allowed to become the center of the mind, that was being allowed to become the driving, controlling, motivating force. And when that was the charioteer, what happened to the gross body? It moved into celibacy. Celibacy was the chariot and power of the Lord was the charioteer. Simply put, the person, the man, was keeping righteousness or power of the Lord at the center of his mind and was operating from there. Then in Dwapar Yuga, penance was the chariot and truth the charioteer. What was the person keeping in mind in Dwapar Yuga? Truth, Sat. And therefore, how was the chariot moving? The chariot was exercising, the chariot was observing penance. The system, the physical system was exercising penance. In Kali Yuga, falsehood is the charioteer. So what is the driving force? Falsehood. And what is the condition, therefore, of the organism, of the body, of the jeev? Fire is the chariot. He is burning. He is burning. Driven by falsehood, he finds himself in a burning chariot. You have to refer to the Srimad Bhagavad Gita for the allegory of the chariot, charioteer. It is presented equally beautifully there. There is one who is guiding you, there is one who is carrying you, and then there are you who is being taken away to a particular destination. There is one who is guiding you. Who is he? The charioteer. In fact, the way the Gita puts it, there is even more detail. It even talks of the horses in the chariot. Who are the horses? So the Gita talks of the horses, the charioteer, the chariot, and the warrior or the passenger. But however, in the present context, let's limit ourselves to only three. The one who is guiding you, the one who is carrying you, and the one that you are. Who are we? We are the one who experiences suffering. We are the I sense. The I sense. The I sense is guided by intellect. The I sense is carried in its chosen vehicle of association. The warrior or the passenger rides the chariot, does he not? Similarly, the I sense rides the body. The I sense rides the body. So the I sense is guided by something and is carried in something. Those are the two that Guru Sahib is talking of. And you must investigate, what is it that guides you? What is it that drives you? And what is it that you are identified with? And hence, what is your condition? In the four states of consciousness that these four ages represent, your centers are all different. Your center in SatYuga is not the same as it would be in Dwapar or in Kali. And therefore, the state of your gross system, the state of your physical mental system will not be the same in SatYuga as it is going to be in Kali Yuga or in Dwapar. In one age, you would be all fire, afire. The mind would be burning, the body would be burning. In another age, you would be just contentment personified. And why would that difference be there? Because the center is different. In some way, the charioteer defines the condition of the chariot. And the charioteer also defines the fate of the passenger, the rider. However, the rider has a choice. The rider has freedom. The rider can choose a different chariot and a different charioteer. The moment the charioteer changes, the yuga changes. So find out, Ilmari, what is it or who is it that you allow to guide you and dictate terms to you? Who is your charioteer? To Arjun, Krishna was the charioteer. Who is your charioteer? And then there is Parmeshwari. Acharya ji, do the four ages mentioned here exist linearly in time, or do they all exist simultaneously? They exist neither linearly nor simultaneously, Parmeshwari. At one point, you are in one age. However, you are a creature of change, are you not? To be born is to change, no? What is birth? A change. Birth means you are, and the moment before you were not. The moment before you were not, and now you are. So birth itself is change. And after birth, is there any moment in which there is no change? There is continuous change, right? So we are constantly changing. And what do we mean by we are constantly changing? The condition of the mind is constantly changing. Mind is time and time is change. Therefore, you are constantly flipping your center, your state, your mind, your condition, everything. That is what is meant here. Now, you are asking, in all the four ages, truth has been challenged by falsehood. How is one yuga better than the other? See, it's almost like saying that water is not boiling at 0 degrees centigrade, and water is not boiling even at 99 degrees centigrade. So if I want boiling water, how is 99 degrees better than 0? In absolute terms, yes. Water is not boiling, be it 99 or 0. So in absolute terms, yes. One age is not better than the other, and one temperature is not better than the other. But in relative terms, 99 is better than 0 if you want boiling water, right? Because from 99, it is going to be easier to jump to 100. Similarly, in SatYuga, which is your Sat state of mind, Parmeshwari, it is easier to go beyond time. All these four are states of mind. All these four are types of time. And what does the time-ridden mind really want? Freedom from time. And freedom of time is more probable when you are in an elevated state of consciousness. When you are in SatYuga. Therefore, SatYuga is better than all the other eras. It's almost like asking that Tam, Raj and Sat are all nothing but the three gunas of Prakriti. And Acharya you say that Prakriti identification is bondage. Then how is Satogun better than Tamogun? After all, they both happen to be just gunas of Prakriti. But Satogun makes it easier for you to go beyond Prakriti. Therefore, Sat is better than Tam. Similarly, SatYuga is better than Kaliyuga. There is a particular quality of mind that is more conducive to the dissolution of mind. One must strive for that quality of mind. That is the highest quality of mind, and after that quality, there is neither quality left nor mind left. So, also kindly speak about the chariot and the charioteer pertaining to each yuga. We have spoken about that. You must be careful. We live in the world of relatives, Parmeshwari. I'll give you examples of some very misleading statements which are in the same league as the statement that you made. You said, in all the four ages, truth has been challenged by the false. So how is SatYuga better than Kaliyuga? I'll give you analogies. I take drugs. You take coffee. Who are you to preach to me? At an absolute level, both of you are taking in intoxicants. So both of you are same. But relatively, there is a lot of difference. But is that not a common argument that we hear? You first go and correct yourself and then you preach to me. You go to a drug de-addiction center and there you find the doctor sipping coffee and you tell the doctor, you too are addicted. First of all, you heal yourself and then I take cocaine, you take caffeine. What difference is there? There is no difference. There is no difference. And like people sometimes comment on the videos, Acharya ji, are you fully liberated? And if you are not fully liberated, why must I listen to you? How does it matter to you whether I am fully liberated or not? And would you know what is full liberation? But you talk in the language of absolute without knowing that the absolute is absolutely useless. Of use to you are all the relative things. So find out whether in relation to you I am useful. Do not ask whether I am absolutely liberated. Ask whether in relation to you I have certain utility. That is the question to be asked. But we deal in absolutes. So there was this fellow who came to the open session that day. And I spoke on how man is destroying the planet with his urge to consume. And we are consuming everything and we can't live without luxuries and we just want to have a good life and we are exploiting technology, we are doing this and that. All those things I spoke of. And when he was going away, he said, when you were speaking, there were 4 lights on here. Why are you consuming electricity? We do not understand that we live in a relative world. We do not understand that. You cannot bring down consumption to 0. But can't you be sane while consuming? Can't you be? But we talk in absolutes. The fellow was, in a way, telling me that when you drop your consumption to absolutely 0, then you should talk to me. Now, what he is demanding is never going to happen. There is not going to be a day when my consumption drops to absolutely 0. So the fellow has ensured for himself that he will never have to listen to me. He will say, you consume 4 watts of electricity, I consume 4 lakh watts of electricity, how does it matter? Both are definite and positive numbers, be it 4 or 4 lakh. After all, you are not sitting on 0. When you drop yourself to 0, then you should talk to me. This is very, very evil. Very evil. Yeah, almost like saying, that fellow got 99 out of 100. I got 9 out of 100. Did either of us get 100? So we are the same. What kind of argument is this? What kind of argument is this? And if the other fellow does manage to get 100, you will say, oh, he belongs to a different dimension now. Why must I compare myself to him? He belongs to the dimension of the absolute now. See how cleverly you protect yourself. Till the time he was in his 90s, even at 99.9, you cleverly discounted him by saying that he has yet not reached 100. So you said, no point presenting him as an ideal to me. Both of us are the same. 99 and 9 are just numbers. None of these numbers equals 100. And when he does equal 100, then you say, please compare me only to people in my own dimension. He is a legend. He is a star. He is an avatar. Let's talk of mere mortals. Let's talk of ordinary people. He is a gifted and blessed being. He is extraordinary. He is an exception. We must not talk of exceptions. Let's talk of people in our dimension. So you come up with someone who is at 96 and he smiles and says, 96. Is he 100? So we have ensured safety for ourselves in all conditions. And that is the reason, why teacher after teacher had speak that stinking thing about enlightenment. Because if he says that he is not enlightened, he is just like you will say, then why should I listen to you? So the simple fellow is compelled to say that he is enlightened. But the moment he says he is enlightened, you smile and say, now why should I listen to you? You are enlightened, I am not. What's the point in emulating you?